Every morning long before the office lights flickered on, Maria guided her wheeled cleaning cart through the silent corridors of the towering skyscraper, preparing meeting rooms for the day's busy schedule with careful attention to every detail. She pushed the cart quietly across the polished floors, the soft hum of the vacuum blending with the distant echo of her own focused breathing as she moved from one closed door to the next. In the boardroom, Maria arranged chairs in straight lines around the gleaming table, wiping away smudges on the polished surface, lining up pens next to notepads so that each executive would see nothing but perfection. From behind the half-sized door, she sometimes overheard voices, deep, confident, full of self-importance, as the senior leaders entered early to prepare their presentations, never noticing the humble figure pruning dust in the corner. Among those voices, one in particular belonged to Mr. Barton, the company's CEO, whose laughter was sharp and mocking, a sound that reached Maria's ears like a cold wind sneaking through a broken window. He mocked the cleaning staff for the slightest smudge, treating every misplaced paper towel as if it were a personal insult to his very empire of profit and prestige. Maria felt her fingers tighten around the rag each time she heard his scorn, but she did not stop working because she took pride in her job even when others refused to see its worth. The janitorial closet was her sanctuary, where she prepared all her supplies and straightened her uniform so that she looked neat and respectful in spite of her invisible position beneath the bright corporate ladder. Each time she walked through the lobby, employees in tailored suits glanced at her as though she were a shadow, something to step around rather than someone to greet with warmth or thanks. Sometimes a friendly face smiled at her, a junior assistant or a security guard who remembered her name and offered a quick good morning, as if that small kindness could brighten the stress in her heart. Morning sunlight filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long golden bars across the marble floor where Maria knelt to scrub stubborn coffee stains near the receptionist's desk. She worked carefully around the thick cables woven under every desk, ensuring that not a single drip would mar the carpet that had been shampooed only days before. From across the lobby, she heard Mr. Barton's booming voice, and she paused for a moment to steady her breathing, reminding herself that she was strong and she belonged here as much as anyone else. In that moment, she remembered the first day she had joined this company, wide-eyed and eager to prove her reliability, and had been welcomed by the janitorial supervisor who taught her every tip to keep these hallways spotless. Since then, she had learned how to polish windows streak-free, refill every dispenser before it ran empty, and vacuum the edges of every carpet until the fibers stood upright against the cleaning brush. She moved like a dancer, her motions precise and practiced, her ears tuned to the faintest whisper of disturbance so that no problem would ever escape her vigilant watch. But no matter how hard she worked, she still heard the whispers of executives mocking her in a boardroom, making jokes about the cleaning lady's terrible coffee stains or her plain uniform. They whispered that she did not belong in their world of staggering salaries and private jets, believing that a broom and a mop were her only destiny in a world they controlled. Those whispers stung Maria's pride but also ignited a spark within her, reminding her that she had skills and intelligence that could surprise anyone foolish enough to underestimate her. She straightened her back and lowered her gaze respectfully, refusing to dignify their cruelty by acknowledging it, but vowing silently that one day they would regret every unkind word. By the time the first meeting began, Maria had finished her tasks in the boardroom and quietly retreated to a shadowed corner near the back, ready to clean again once the chairs were empty and the executives had left. She watched as the lights brightened and the polished oak door opened to admit the company leaders, their feet echoing loudly as they strode across the room with purposeful steps. Mr. Barton swept into the room with an air of triumph, his chest puffed up, his expensive shoes clicking sharply on the wood floor as he took his seat at the head of the table. His assistants hovered nearby, placing laptops in front of each director, while others checked microphones and adjusted the window blinds to reduce glare on the projection screen. Maria stood behind the silent doorframe, nearly invisible, her hands folded in front of her cleaning cloth, ready to move the moment they dismissed her presence and the meeting commenced. She listened as Mr. Barton spoke about quarterly profits, his voice loud and confident, discussing numbers that seemed unreachable to most of the world but ordinary to this circle of power. He laughed at his own jokes at her expense, imagining that no one present would ever challenge his assumption that the cleaning staff were beneath notice. The boardroom air seemed to freeze around Maria every time he sneered at the very idea of someone like her having any knowledge or ambition beyond mopping floors. But Maria had ambitions, quiet ambitions fueled by years of watching people in these rooms make decisions that affected hundreds of workers downstairs in the factory, where she once had wondered about career possibilities. She once dreamed of being an executive, of sitting at that table making big choices, but life circumstances had led her here instead, where she cleaned up others' mistakes and polished their egos so they could shine. Yet each swipe of her cloth reminded her that she deserved respect for the work she did, and that her dedication brought order to chaos in ways that went unnoticed but were essential. She thought of her children waiting at home, children who looked up to her strength and resilience, children who believed she could accomplish anything she set her mind to. That belief gave her courage to stand unseen outside the boardroom, listening to every word and absorbing the patterns of power in the room like a sponge. She noticed how Mr. Barton's voice grew softer when he saw doubt in his audience, how he depended on his presence rather than real authority to maintain control. Maria realized that authority rested not in fancy titles, but in actions that served the greater good, actions that she performed daily without fanfare or reward. She pressed her back against the cool wall, breathing slowly, steadying her heart that pounded with both fear and determination as she prepared to do something no one expected. A sudden quiet fell as Mr. Barton finished his speech with a sharp demeanor and invited questions, but none dared to speak up in his intimidating presence. Maria gently pushed the door open, her hand steady and her uniform crisp, and stepped into the room with a quiet confidence that caught everyone off guard. A hush spread across the table as heads turned toward her with puzzled expressions, as if the cleaning lady had suddenly crossed an invisible line into their world. With calm eyes and measured voice, Maria cleared her throat and announced that she had important information that required everyone's attention before they could continue. The board members stared at Maria in shocked silence as they processed the unexpected sight of their resourceful cleaning lady standing confidently at the head of the long, polished table with calm eyes and a firm, steady voice. Maria reached into her pocket and produced a shiny black USB drive with a small label that contained confidential records and videos documenting Mr. Barton's unethical behavior and derisive remarks about her and the rest of the staff. She paused for a moment to ensure her voice remained steady and clear as she addressed the stunned executives who had never expected such boldness from someone in her position. A heavy hush settled over the boardroom as the CFO stepped forward to retrieve the drive and place it carefully into the laptop connected to the large projector screen at the front. When the first clip appeared on the screen, it showed Mr. Barton making cutting jokes about the cleaning staff, mocking their uniforms and questioning their intelligence while high-ranking directors stood by silently. Gasps rippled through the silent, mahogany-paneled room as Maria watched the realization dawn on each board member's face that their esteemed CEO had betrayed the dignity of employees. She then clicked a remote, and next appeared a series of financial spreadsheets demonstrating how Mr. Barton had embezzled company funds for personal luxury purchases disguised as business expenses. The lines on the spreadsheet glowed in red and highlighted inflated invoices and unauthorized payments to shell companies that Maria had uncovered over several months of late-night work at the office. Some board members leaned forward, reading the numbers with furrowed brows and whispering to each other in disbelief at the scale of the deception. Mr. Barton stood at the front of the table, his face pale and his hands shaking as he attempted to speak but found his usual confident voice replaced by stumbling words. "This is a misunderstanding," he stammered in a trembling tone, his lips quivering as he cast desperate glances at Maria and the assembled directors in the tense atmosphere. Maria raised a hand to silence him, her posture straight and her expression unwavering as she reminded him of the company's code of ethics and its promise to treat all employees with respect and fairness. She explained clearly that these documents and recordings were not rumors but concrete evidence approved by legal counsel to verify their authenticity before being presented today at this critical meeting. The board chair cleared his throat and asked Maria to walk them through each piece of evidence, wanting her to highlight the precise timeline of events that led to this moment of accountability. Maria clicked the remote again and displayed emails in which Mr. Barton had personally ordered the removal of positive performance reviews for cleaning staff to justify cutting their hours and wages unfairly. She then showed photos taken by discreet security cameras that captured him sneering at the cleaning closet door as he passed by, making thinly veiled remarks about her supposed incompetence and lack of ambition. One by one, she presented confirmation of every action he had taken to demean, exploit, and financially harm the employees who worked under him without fear of reprisal or question. The board members listened intently as Maria spoke, their initial shock transforming into anger at the betrayal of trust and leadership they had placed in Mr. Barton over many years. Someone in the back whispered, "I never thought I would see evidence like this," and another muttered, "I can't believe he got away with it for so long without anyone noticing." The CFO nodded gravely and addressed the board, stating that the evidence was clear and that corporate bylaws dictated immediate removal of any executive guilty of such severe misconduct against employees. Mr. Barton's eyes darted around the room as he realized that the same board members who had promoted him were now preparing to strip him of power and prestige. His assistant tried to intervene, but the board chair shook his head and affirmed that no one could interfere until a formal vote had been taken in accordance with policy. Maria demonstrated the final piece of evidence, a signed confession email that Mr. Barton had tried to delete, admitting to orchestrating an unfair bonus structure to reward himself at the expense of entry-level workers. A tense silence followed as the board's secretary read the statement aloud, confirming each damning detail that supported Maria's claims and revealing their full scope. Mr. Barton fumbled for his phone, his breathing ragged, trying to call someone for help, but a director in a crisp suit calmly extended her hand and cut the power cord to his device with firm precision. The room's temperature seemed to drop as the full weight of his betrayal settled on everyone present, and Mr. Barton sank into his chair with a defeated and hollow slouch. Maria took a deep breath and addressed the board one final time, requesting that they exercise their authority to protect the company's integrity and its employees without delay. She suggested that they immediately vote to remove Mr. Barton as chief executive officer, citing the company's zero-tolerance policy for fraud, harassment, and abuse of power. The chair called for a show of hands, and nearly every director raised their hand, signaling unanimous support for his removal from office and the restoration of ethical leadership. Mr. Barton's face turned ashen as the final count was announced, and he looked around in disbelief, unable to comprehend how his actions had gone so unchecked for so long. One director stood and formalized the vote by stating, "Effective immediately, Mr. Barton is no longer CEO of this company," and the gavel was struck with a crisp and decisive sound. Mr. Barton stammered an apology, but Maria politely reminded him that apologies could not undo the harm he had caused to countless employees and shareholders alike. 2 security officers entered the room, approaching Mr. Barton to escort him out of the building under the board's directive, while he lowered his head in silent and embarrassing resignation. Maria watched him leave, feeling a mix of relief and vindication as the man who had belittled her and undermined others found himself powerless and without authority. The board chair turned to Maria and thanked her for her courage and for preserving the company's ethical standards by risking everything to bring the truth to light. A few directors nodded in agreement, offering her congratulations and acknowledging that her actions had saved the company from further reputational damage and financial loss. Maria allowed herself a small, humble smile as she realized that respect had been won not through a title, but through honesty, determination, and unwavering integrity. Someone offered her a seat at the large oak table, inviting her to join the meeting as an honored guest and to share her perspective on improving workplace culture permanently. As she sat down on the leather chair, the weight of her journey felt lighter, and she looked around the room at faces filled with gratitude, relief, and newfound respect. Maria felt a surge of hope that the company would change for the better, and that no one would ever mock or underestimate another human being again, no matter their role or background. Maria sat at the large mahogany boardroom table, her palms pressed gently against the smooth surface as she looked around at the directors' attentive faces, her crisp uniform and simple name badge a reminder of mornings she arrived unnoticed, both proud and quietly nervous for her new responsibilities ahead. Cerulean morning light streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long ribbons of brightness across the carpet as Maria breathed in deeply, feeling the weight of her past efforts finally rewarded by this moment. The board chair leaned forward and introduced Maria formally, his calm yet firm voice echoing in the high-ceilinged room as he recounted how her courage in gathering evidence and her dedication to the company's values had inspired the board to take such decisive action, setting a hopeful tone for everyone's future. When Maria nodded modestly and thanked the board, a sense of unity seemed to sweep across the room in that quiet instant, as every director recognized that true leadership could come from any level of the organization. Plans were quickly set in motion to form a new ethics committee, and the chair asked Maria if she would serve as its head, a role she accepted with both honor and determination visible in her steady voice. She then listened as the board outlined clear policies against harassment, discrimination, and fraud, imagining how these rules would protect countless employees from unfair treatment in the future. A senior director proposed monthly training sessions and town hall meetings where staff of all ranks could speak openly about concerns, and Maria suggested anonymous surveys to gather honest feedback. Maria smiled inwardly at the thought of giving cleaning staff and other employees a direct channel to management, picturing how their voices would shape a more inclusive workplace. After the formal meeting ended, the board chair escorted Maria to a smaller side room, where he explained her new duties in detail and encouraged her to invite colleagues from different departments. She took careful notes in a neat journal she carried, planning to draft a timeline for introducing revised guidelines and to schedule the first feedback session within 2 weeks. Leaving the towering glass building that afternoon, Maria felt a rush of energy she had never experienced before, as if she carried a bright spark of change from the boardroom into the city streets. She arrived home to the warm aroma of her daughter's baking and the sound of her son practicing piano, and her children greeted her with wide smiles as if sensing the excitement of her day. While sipping a cup of tea in the cozy kitchen, Maria explained in simple language how she had helped bring justice to her workplace by exposing wrongdoing and protecting others. Her children listened in awe as she described how the board had voted unanimously to remove a dishonest leader and to implement new rules under her guidance. They cheered and clapped, calling her a hero, and Maria felt tears of happiness as her family's pride warmed her heart like a gentle sunrise. The next morning, she rose before dawn to prepare materials for the first ethics orientation seminar, gathering color markers, printed outlines, and a fresh stack of notepads. In the seminar room, she arranged chairs in a semicircle and placed a welcome sign on an easel, determined to create a friendly environment where everyone felt safe to share ideas. As employees began to arrive, Maria greeted each person by name, including custodians, administrative staff, and managers, making sure everyone felt included from the start. She opened the session by sharing her own story of speaking up against injustice, using clear words that resonated with both blue-collar workers and executives alike. Several staff members spoke openly about challenges they faced, and Maria listened carefully as they described outdated equipment, unfair schedules, and lack of recognition for hard work. Maria jotted down every suggestion and promised to follow up, knowing that tangible improvements would build trust and show that management truly cared about its employees. Over the following weeks, Maria and the Ethics Committee reviewed feedback, drafted updated policies, and collaborated with human resources to formalize the new code of conduct. They also created an anonymous suggestion box system and set up regular check-ins where employees could voice concerns directly to committee members without fear of retaliation. One suggestion led to better break rotations for floor cleaners so they could rest properly, and another improved the ordering process for cleaning supplies to avoid last-minute shortages. Meanwhile, senior managers began attending the ethics training sessions alongside other staff, learning to recognize and prevent harmful behavior in every department. As the new policies took effect, Maria noticed that employees walked taller and spoke more freely, their faces reflecting a growing confidence and sense of belonging. Productivity rose steadily because teams collaborated without fear of gossip or unfair treatment, and the company's reputation in the industry began to shine brighter. Word of the positive changes spread, and clients commented on the company's improved culture during meetings and site visits, praising its commitment to ethical practices. Maria continued her daily cleaning duties in the early morning hours, but now wore her work badge and a small pin that read Ethics Ambassador with quiet pride. Executives greeted her with respectful nods and friendly smiles, and she sometimes shared coffee and brief chats with directors in the lobby before her shift began. With each new interaction, Maria's confidence grew, and she realized that genuine respect was built one conversation at a time rather than through formal titles alone. She kept a personal log of positive outcomes, noting how many suggestions had been implemented and how many employees had attended the orientation meetings. The Ethics Committee scheduled quarterly reviews and invited rotating staff members to join the discussions, ensuring fresh perspectives and ongoing improvement. One day, Maria received an email invitation to speak at a regional conference on workplace ethics, and she accepted eagerly, planning to share her story with a wider audience. In her presentation, she described how ordinary actions could lead to extraordinary change when individuals had the courage to speak truth to power. The audience of business leaders and HR professionals listened intently, and many expressed interest in adopting similar programs within their own organizations. Maria returned home that evening feeling exhausted but fulfilled, knowing that her efforts had created ripples of kindness and accountability far beyond her company walls. Her children hugged her tight and asked what she planned to do next, and Maria replied that she would keep working to make every workplace more fair and inclusive. She realized that her role as a cleaning lady had transformed into that of a respected leader who used compassion and honesty to inspire meaningful progress. As she prepared for bed, Maria felt grateful for the journey that had started with a simple willingness to stand up for what was right, and she looked forward to tomorrow's possibilities. Maria returned to the office at dawn each day, pushing her cleaning cart through empty halls before committee meetings, determined to make every corner of the building feel welcoming and fair to all. After polishing the boardroom table to a mirror shine, she arranged chairs for the ethics committee, ensuring room for notes and pencils were sharpened for thoughtful discussion. Each week, she distributed newsletters with graphics announcing upcoming workshops and inviting employees to share experiences about workplace challenges and successes. Maria also organized small focus groups in break rooms, placing comfortable chairs in circles and providing snacks so that staff could speak freely without feeling intimidated by formal settings. In one session, a group of night shift janitors described faulty equipment that made their work harder and unsafe, and Maria promised to personally deliver a report to maintenance for immediate action. She then followed through by emailing the facility's manager with clear instructions and photos, and within days, the broken machines were repaired and new safety guidelines posted visibly on the walls. Meanwhile, she conducted surveys that asked simple yes or no questions about respect, inclusion, and resource availability, and she compiled the results into colorful charts for the board's review. On Fridays, Maria led short training videos that explained respectful communication techniques, role-playing scenarios where employees practiced listening actively and responding with kindness. She invited department heads to participate and learned that some managers felt embarrassed to admit they needed help improving their behavior, which Maria addressed with empathy and encouragement. Over time, the breaks between the morning shift and committee meeting became a moment where Maria greeted workers by name and asked kindly about their families and weekend plans. Those small conversations built personal connections that spread trust through the building, and employees said they felt more valued when their leaders and peers knew something about them beyond their work. Maria also helped the human resources team revise job descriptions to include respect, teamwork, and honesty as core requirements, giving formal weight to the values she championed. Together, they updated performance reviews to include questions about how well each employee treated others, and managers found it easier to praise positive interactions with facts and examples. The company's intranet homepage soon featured a rotating banner celebrating employees who exemplified ethics, showing pictures of staff receiving recognition alongside short thank you notes. Maria noticed how cleaning staff and security guards smiled when they saw their photos on the screen next to high-ranking directors, and she felt a warm pride for the inclusive culture taking root. She also led a mid-year celebration, decorating the lobby with banners that read "Integrity in Action" and organizing a potluck lunch where all employees could share food from their home cultures. During the event, Maria gave a brief speech thanking everyone for their honest feedback and reinforcing that the board had committed to continued transparency and fairness across all levels. Guests applauded and laughed as stories were shared about small acts of kindness, like a manager helping a teammate carry a heavy box or colleagues swapping tasks to support each other under tight deadlines. Encouraged by the positive energy, Maria invited staff to sign a large banner pledging to treat one another respectfully and to speak up if they observed unfair or harmful behavior. The pledge was displayed in the main hallway, where passersby paused to read and many stopped to sign, symbolizing a collective promise that no one would face injustice alone. In the months that followed, Maria mentored new committee volunteers, teaching them how to facilitate open conversations and how to gather evidence when policy violations occurred. She emphasized the importance of confidentiality, reminding them that trust was built on privacy and that courageous voices must be protected from any form of retaliation. Employee absenteeism dropped noticeably, as team members felt safer asking for help with heavy workloads and knew that accommodations could be arranged without judgment. Customer surveys also improved, with clients commenting on the company's positive environment and ethical brand image, which Maria noted with satisfaction in her monthly reports. Quarterly financial results began to reflect these cultural gains, as lower turnover and higher engagement translated into greater efficiency and creative collaboration among teams. Maria quietly celebrated these wins in her logbook, recording statistics about improved morale and sharing summaries with the board in concise, easy-to-read bullet points. Executives who once dismissed the ethics committee began to rely on Maria's insights, asking for her advice when developing new initiatives or launching community outreach programs. She found herself invited to leadership workshops, where she spoke about listening to frontline workers and making decisions that serve people rather than just profits. Her story inspired other companies to reach out for guidance, and Maria provided templates for ethics charters and simple training modules that could be adapted elsewhere. She maintained her morning cleaning routine, finding solace in the quiet hum of vacuum motors before the day began, and reminding herself that no task was beneath her dignity or purpose. One evening, Maria stayed late to talk with a young intern who felt nervous about giving feedback to her mentor, and Maria guided her gently on how to frame concerns with respect and clarity. The intern's confidence grew, and she later shared how the conversation empowered her to suggest improvements that her mentor then implemented successfully. In another instance, a manager called Maria to the office to seek tips on handling conflict between team members, and she shared simple strategies like private mediation and follow-up check-ins. As word of her guidance spread, More people in the company started referring to Maria as a wise and trusted advisor beyond her cleaning duties. Despite her rising influence, Maria remained humble, continuing to arrive early to clean hallways and gently reminding committee members that every person deserved a spotless workspace and a voice. With patience and tenacity, she had woven ethics into the fabric of the company, ensuring that respect, honesty, and accountability coexisted with productivity and innovation. When the local newspaper published an article about Maria's work, she felt surprised and proud to see photos of herself in the lobby, polishing floors while wearing her shining Ethics Ambassador pin. She thanked the journalist for capturing her story and reminded readers that change starts with small acts of courage and kindness performed every single day. Maria closed her journal each night feeling fulfilled, knowing that her journey from cleaning closets to leading culture change had made a lasting difference for countless people. As she looked forward to the coming months, Maria knew that sustaining this new culture would require constant effort, but she was ready to face future challenges with the same integrity that had carried her this far. Each early morning before sunrise, Maria walked through the lobby feeling proud as she opened the glass doors for new employees, greeting each one by name with a warm smile and kind eyes. She noticed small but meaningful changes: corridors lined with green plants and pots, walls repainted in light colors, and digital screens showing smiling employees' photos, which lifted her spirits even more. As Ethics Ambassador, Maria created a colorful newsletter on the company intranet, sharing real-life stories of kindness and teamwork performed by workers at all levels. She wrote engaging articles that celebrated everyday heroes, like the guard who helped a visitor or the intern who saved falling files, and encouraged readers to follow their example that lifted hearts and built community. Once a month, she organized a community fair in the courtyard, where employees set up booths to showcase hobbies like baking goods, painting small artworks, singing songs, and displaying crafts bringing color and life to the gray courtyard. The fair was a joyful chance for people to relax after work deadlines, try homemade foods, admire art, and learn about new cultures in a colorful setting filled with laughter and music. Maria partnered with local charities, a food bank, a children's clothing group, and an animal shelter to arrange food, clothing, and pet supply drives with donation bins near the main entrance, making each donation feel like a gift. Twice a month, company trucks collected these donations and brought them to city shelters, and employees felt proud that their efforts provided meals, clothes, and toys to those in need, bringing hope to families and animals alike. She trained volunteers to manage the events smoothly, teaching them how to count items, record totals in simple sheets, and sort donations by size and type, ensuring each event ran without a hitch. She created easy guides with photos and colored labels so any volunteer could help without confusion, making volunteering simple and stress-free. Back at the office, she introduced a kindness calendar on the intranet, where each day featured a positive message or a small challenge like writing a thank you note, bringing daily reminders of human kindness. Employees looked forward to the calendar's daily goal and sometimes posted photos of their acts, holding doors open or sending kind messages, in a special feed alongside news brightening screens and sweetening mornings. Even busy executives joined, sharing pictures of their own kind deeds online, showing that care could come from anyone, no matter their title, reminding all that respect began with small acts. One Tuesday, Maria invited interns to the boardroom to share ideas for a green recycling program to reduce waste and protect the environment, and she noted their excitement with delight. The interns suggested placing recycling bins next to desks, using color codes and digital reminders to empty them at the end of each day, improving cleanliness and eco-friendly habits. Maria took their ideas to the ethics committee, and the board approved a plan to cut paper waste by 50% within 3 months using recycled paper and folders, and it showed how teamwork could succeed. Bins labeled for paper, plastic, and metal recycling were placed around the office, with posters above each bin showing what could be recycled, guiding each employee to recycle properly. Maria made short videos on the intranet and posted simple signs near the bins with drawings and easy text to teach proper use, teaching everyone in simple, playful ways. Within 3 months, recycling rates rose by 70%, saving the company money in trash removal fees and helping the planet, boosting both morale and the company's image. During this time, Maria still did her cleaning duties each morning, knowing every job mattered and that a clean workspace boosted morale and respect, which made her work feel even more meaningful. She also mentored a new volunteer, Javier, showing him how to gather feedback through surveys and how to reassure employees their voices were safe, and Javier grew confident under her guidance. Together, they held listening sessions in quiet rooms with chairs in a circle, where staff could speak directly to the ethics committee without fear, making everyone feel heard and supported. Maria listened as employees described challenges, like unclear schedules or worn safety gear, and took thorough notes for clear board action, which led to clear, effective board decisions. The board updated parking garage safety, improved exit signage, and ordered new night shift gear based on Maria's reports, making the entire facility safer and happier. Maria felt proud that her work helped protect her coworkers and quietly celebrated each new policy change that made the workplace safer, and she celebrated each small policy victory. Meanwhile, new CEO Ms. Lee invited Maria to monthly leadership meetings because she valued her honest view and clear suggestions, and she felt honored by the invitation. Maria prepared short presentations with colorful bullet points and charts showing teamwork, fairness, and satisfaction trends, practicing her speech so every leader understood, ensuring clear communication at the highest level. She used bright highlights and icons in her slides to make data easy to follow, avoiding long paragraphs so each point was clear so everyone could follow her points with ease. Maria explained that happy, respected employees were more creative, productive, and loyal, sharing examples of small changes leading to big improvements, proving that respect truly led to success. After her talks, managers often thanked her and asked for ideas on extending respectful practices to new projects and client calls, helping managers see the value in small kindness. Maria felt delighted that lessons on fairness and cooperation had grown into tools for positive change in a company with hundreds of employees, and she realized her impact was far-reaching. At the end of each day, she returned to her cleaning work, mopping floors and wiping desks while humming a tune that reminded her of the kindness she had spread, enjoying the quiet satisfaction it brought her. She smiled as she polished windows and vacuumed carpets, knowing her work set the stage for respectful meetings and friendly interactions each morning, and knowing her efforts set a positive tone daily. Neighbors in her building, like guard Ramon, tech support Layla, and receptionist Sarah, paused their tasks to say thank you and ask how they could help with the next event, and their offers warmed her heart each time. Maria replied with a warm invitation, telling them anyone who cared about respect and fairness could join the committee, help with outreach, or lead a workshop, encouraging new volunteers with her gentle words. On weekends, she held free workshops at a local center, teaching respect, fairness, and leadership through role-play games, group talks, and hands-on activities that made learning fun, creating an atmosphere of fun and learning. People from other companies, schools, and community groups attended, returning to their own places inspired by Maria's message of kindness and action, and she loved the wide reach of her work. Maria kept a private journal where she recorded success stories, challenges solved, and plans for new projects in neat handwriting, where she kept every detail for future growth. She believed each day brought a chance to make the world kinder, safer, and fairer, and she noted every small step toward that goal in her journal, reminding herself. Each morning, Maria unlocked the building before anyone else arrived, carrying a stack of freshly printed ethics surveys and placing them on each department's desk to encourage honest feedback about workplace respect. She designed the surveys with clear smiley face and frowny face choices so that even employees who struggled with long forms could share their feelings easily and without stress. Within hours, she collected the completed surveys, carefully tallying responses in a simple chart that showed where people felt most proud and where they still saw room for improvement. She noted that some teams still worried about speaking up during meetings, so she arranged quiet breakout rooms where employees could discuss concerns in small groups without fear of interruption. Maria set up an online suggestion box on the intranet where staff could submit ideas at any hour, and she checked it twice daily to respond promptly to each thoughtful message. One employee proposed adding a shout-out board in the lobby where coworkers could publicly thank each other for kind deeds, and Maria placed a whiteboard with colorful markers in a sunny corner for exactly that purpose. Within a week, the shout-out board filled with notes like, "Thank you to Jose for helping me carry boxes," and "Great job, team, for finishing the project on time," creating a buzz of positive energy. Maria documented these successes in her journal, noting how small acts of recognition boosted morale and created a friendlier atmosphere where people felt seen and valued. She then organized a lunch and learn event where employees could share their hobbies, painting, coding, gardening, while enjoying free sandwiches, helping coworkers connect on a personal level beyond daily tasks. During one lunch and learn, a financial analyst demonstrated basic budgeting tips, and the staff applauded her practical advice that helped everyone manage their own money more wisely. Maria invited department heads to attend the sessions, reminding them that leadership wasn't just about titles but about listening, learning, and supporting the people on their teams. After each event, she emailed summary notes to all employees, so those who missed the session could still benefit from the lessons and feel included in the community. When some staff raised concerns about unequal break schedules, Maria worked with human resources to create a fair rotation system that ensured everyone received the same length and number of breaks each week. She communicated the new schedule clearly with easy-to-read charts posted by each time clock and explained it in a friendly memo so that everyone understood how it worked. With these changes in place, employees reported feeling less stressed and more focused on their work, and Maria noted the shift in her weekly report to the ethics committee. Meanwhile, she developed a simple online training module that taught conflict resolution steps with clear examples, and she shared it with managers who could then coach their teams directly. A young supervisor emailed Maria to say that after completing the module, she felt confident leading a discussion to resolve a disagreement between two team members, and the staff thanked Maria for the practical guidance. Encouraged by this feedback, Maria updated the module to include a short role-play video featuring actors in office settings to model respectful communication. She hired a local video team to film the scenes in the actual office break room, making the examples feel real and relatable to her colleagues. When the new video went live on the internet, viewership soared, and employees left positive comments about how useful it was to see real people handling real conflicts with calm words and listening ears. In her spare moments, Maria met with the company's IT team to improve the intranet's design, making ethical resources easier to find with bold icons and clear labels so no one would miss important information. She also translated key documents into 2 languages spoken by many of the staff, ensuring that non-native speakers could fully participate in ethics training and committee discussions. The board noticed that employee engagement scores climbed steadily, and they praised Maria's efforts during a monthly review, inviting her to present her data alongside the CEO for the first time. Standing at the front of a packed auditorium, Maria felt nervous at first, but she remembered her mission and spoke clearly about how respect and fairness fueled creativity, productivity, and loyalty in every department. After her presentation, dozens of employees lined up to thank her personally, sharing stories of how small changes had brightened their days and made them feel proud of their workplace. Maria returned to the ethics office that afternoon with a heart full of gratitude, determined to keep improving initiatives and finding new ways to involve everyone in the company's positive culture. That week, she coordinated with a marketing team to design a monthly ethics spotlight email featuring interviews with employees across all levels, from custodians to executives, highlighting their proudest achievements. The first spotlight featured a security guard who had volunteered at a children's charity, and his story inspired many readers to sign up for the next community service event. Maria attended a planning meeting and helped schedule volunteer shifts at the charity, making it easy for employees to join in without overwhelming their work schedules. The following weekend, dozens of staff members volunteered together, sharing laughter and teamwork as they packed food boxes and sorted clothing donations for families in need. Maria's children joined her that day, handing out juice boxes and high-fiving volunteers, and she felt delighted to see her family take part in the kindness she had sparked at work. Back at the office on Monday, photos from the event appeared on the intranet homepage, and employees left comments like "Best team ever" and "Proud to work here" under each snapshot. Inspired by that success, Maria and the Ethics Committee planned a culture week filled with daily themes. Mindfulness Monday, Teamwork Tuesday, Wellness Wednesday. So every day brought something new to look forward to. They decorated the lobby each morning with banners and handed out small tokens like stress balls and gratitude cards, reminding everyone that well-being and respect went hand in hand. During Culture Week, participation soared as employees from different departments mingled, shared ideas, and learned new habits that reduced stress and built stronger bonds. The finance team even organized a friendly trivia quiz at lunch about company history and values, surprising many with fun facts and reinforcing a shared sense of purpose. As Culture Week ended, Maria tallied attendance numbers and feedback, reporting a 90% participation rate and nearly unanimous requests for her to plan another event next quarter. The board praised her initiative and approved a small annual budget for ongoing culture-building activities, recognizing that investing in people was vital to long-term success. Maria felt proud knowing that the funds would support her creative ideas and allow the Ethics Committee to keep innovating ways to bring kindness and fairness into every corner of the company. That night, she wrote in her journal about the week's triumphs and began sketching ideas for the next big event, confident that with each thoughtful plan, the workplace would become an even better place. Each Tuesday morning, just before dawn broke, Maria unlocked the glass doors of the empty office tower, wheeled her cleaning cart past silent desks and dim lights, and made way for the documentary crew. She paused at the boardroom threshold and arranged chairs in neat rows as camera operators set up tripods and lights, explaining how this room witnessed the moment she confronted the former CEO with evidence of his wrongdoing. Maria then guided the interviewer to a polished oak table, where she laid out key evidence files and explained simply how anonymous tips and survey data had uncovered serious ethical issues. The interviewer asked her to describe how the suggestion box and ethics surveys she designed gave employees courage to speak up about broken equipment, unfair schedules, and disrespectful behavior. She shared the story of how maintenance worker Francisco used her online suggestion portal to report a loose railing on a stairwell, a report that led to quick repairs and prevented possible injuries. As the crew filmed Francisco smiling and pointing to the now sturdy railing, Maria reminded viewers that small acts of attention and care could save lives and build trust. Next, the cameras followed Maria to the break room where interns practiced communication methods she taught, showing how scripts and active listening could prevent misunderstandings and hurt feelings. She encouraged interns to pair up, take turns acting as both speaker and listener, and use gentle words and clear feedback when they shared concerns without causing offense. The footage showed them nodding and smiling as they repeated phrases like, "I understand your point," and "Thank you for sharing your idea," demonstrating the power of kindness. After the shoot, Maria pushed her cart through deserted hallways, vacuuming the red carpet and dusting corners, her movements steady and practiced as if each step held a lesson in care. While cleaning the entrance area, she overheard security guard Ramon praising the crew, saying they would learn more from her story than from any textbook on leadership. Maria felt a rush in her chest at his words, reminding herself that her journey from humble cleaner to ethics ambassador had touched many lives beyond company walls. That afternoon, she joined a video conference with leaders from other firms who wanted to implement her ethics program, sharing her survey templates, suggestion box designs, and newsletter layouts so they could adapt them easily. She answered questions with patience, using simple examples and step-by-step instructions to help them start small by hosting lunchtime workshops and setting up thank you boards. The participants thanked her for making ethical leadership accessible to everyone, regardless of job title or background, and promised to try her methods in their own workplaces. When she returned home, Maria found her children eagerly waiting, holding homemade signs that read, "Go, Mom, go," an ethics hero, as they cheered for her accomplishments. She hugged them and showed them the new ethics ambassador pin she wore on her uniform, explaining how it reminded her each day that respect and fairness were worth fighting for. The next morning, Maria introduced the Walk and Talk initiative, scheduling managers to spend 20 minutes each week walking through different departments while listening to employees' stories and ideas. She created a scheduled chart and pinned it to the intranet homepage so every team could see when their leaders would visit and prepare questions or suggestions in advance. During one walk, the finance director admitted to Maria that he had once doubted her abilities, but now respected her insight and thanked her for teaching him that leadership began with listening and empathy. Maria smiled and reminded him that respect was a two-way street and that every person, from CEO to cleaner, could teach leaders valuable lessons about honesty and hard work. Later in the week, she noticed the lobby walls had been transformed into an art gallery, where employees displayed colorful drawings, paintings, and positive messages about teamwork and kindness. Taking a moment to review each artwork, Maria added labels next to each piece describing the artist and their thoughts, ensuring creators felt seen and appreciated for their talents. She then organized a painting event in the atrium for volunteers to create uplifting murals, supplying paintbrushes, drop cloths, and stencils with messages like, "Be kind and listen first." Employees from every department joined in, laughing as they mixed colors and painted simple shapes, feeling the joy of working together on a creative project that brightened the hallways. When the murals were complete, the once gray walls came alive with vibrant rainbows, smiling faces, and short phrases that reminded everyone of the company's shared values of respect and fairness. Maria captured photos of the painting event and shared them in the ethics newsletter, along with quotes from participants on how the project boosted their sense of belonging and pride. The board praised her initiative and approved funding for more activities, confident that investing in creativity and kindness would pay off in employee satisfaction and loyalty. She invited employees to volunteer as culture captains, planning small events, recognizing acts of kindness, and gathering honest feedback from their teams. 30 staff members signed up eagerly, and Maria trained them on running focus groups, collecting survey responses, and hosting discussions about improving workplace culture. She provided them with simple guides that explained how to ask clear questions, record suggestions accurately, and report back to the ethics committee in easy-to-read summaries. Encouraged by their enthusiasm, Maria scheduled regular check-ins with each culture captain to support their projects, offer advice, and celebrate their successes together. In a quiet moment that evening, she reflected on her role, realizing that her work cleaning floors and arranging chairs had led to opportunities to inspire positive change on a much larger scale. The next morning, a local school invited her to speak at an assembly about ethics and leadership, praising her story of courage and kindness as a lesson for young students. Maria accepted gratefully and prepared a simple slideshow with pictures of the boardroom, the suggestion box, and the art project, along with easy tips for creating respectful spaces at school. At the assembly, she spoke to a sea of curious faces and encouraged students to speak up, share their ideas politely, and always treat others with kindness from the playground to the classroom. Students asked questions, and Maria answered, reminding them that small actions like saying thank you and listening could make school a happier place for everyone. A teacher later thanked her, saying the students had been buzzing about her talk all day and had already started their own kindness club to share positive notes and art. Back at the office on Friday, Maria found a surprise celebration in the lobby with banners, flowers, and cupcakes, honoring her for the school visit and her ongoing work for workplace culture. Maria felt touched and smiled as coworkers from every level of the company gathered around to thank her, promising to keep her kindness movement alive for many years to come.